Picture this. You go to sleep tonight in a world where your bank balance means something, where your retirement account represents security, where the economic rules you've followed for decades still apply. You wake up tomorrow in a world where none of that is true anymore. But here's what I promise you. By the end of this video, I'll reveal the one secret that separates those who will prosper in what's coming from those who will lose everything. It's information that powerful institutions don't want you to know, and it's the reason why less than 1% of people will emerge from this crisis wealthier than when it started. We've created something unprecedented, an economic web so interconnected that pulling one thread can unravel the entire fabric. A century ago, economic troubles stayed local. A bank failure in Chicago didn't crash markets in Tokyo. Today, we've built a global financial nervous system where every shock gets amplified and transmitted worldwide before you can blink. Social media has turned this into a pressure cooker where panic spreads faster than wildfire. Think of it as economic dominoes standing closer together than ever before. When they start falling, the cascade is unstoppable. Most people think they understand economic hardship because they lived through 2008. But what's approaching isn't a recession, it's a fundamental restructuring of how money works. A recession is like your neighborhood losing power for a week. What we're facing is discovering the power plant was built on quicksand. The entire foundation is unstable. When this hits, it won't be about waiting for markets to recover. It will be about entire monetary systems being questioned and potentially replaced. The comfortable assumptions that have guided financial planning for generations will become obsolete. Every dollar you own is essentially an IOU from an institution that has been writing IOUs it can't honor. Since we abandoned the gold standard, money has become nothing more than collective belief backed by political promises. The people managing this system have discovered they can create unlimited IOUs without consequence. They've printed money at a scale that defies comprehension. If you stacked every new dollar created in recent years, the pile would reach into space. This is like running a rocket on hope instead of fuel. Physics always wins in the end. While everyone was distracted by political theater, the largest theft in human history was happening in plain sight. Retirement funds and pension systems have been systematically hollowed out by financial engineering that would make criminal masterminds jealous. Millions of Americans who played by the rules and trusted the system are discovering their golden years have been stolen by people in suits who never risked their own money. This isn't about market volatility. This is about deliberate extraction of wealth from workers to enrich financial institutions through layers of fees and accounting tricks. Imagine 75 million Americans all trying to withdraw their retirement savings at the same time. That's what's happening as baby boomers hit retirement age. The system was never designed to handle this mass exodus. It's like having a bank with 100 customers who each deposited 1, 0, but the bank only has 500 in actual cash. When everyone shows up on the same day, the illusion collapses. This demographic shift is happening worldwide. Every developed nation made promises they can't keep to generations who are now calling in those promises simultaneously. Throughout history, real wealth has meant owning things with intrinsic value: land, precious metals, productive assets that people need regardless of political promises or market sentiment. But we've been conditioned to believe that numbers on computer screens represent wealth. We've been taught that pieces of paper hold permanent value. We've accepted that our retirement security should depend on companies we don't understand. This is like building a house on sand and being surprised when storms wash it away.
While Wall Street creates increasingly complex financial instruments that even experts don't understand, one of the simplest wealth preservation strategies sits overlooked.
Silver has maintained purchasing power for thousands of years. A silver coin that costs 25 today represents the same purchasing power as it did for your great-grandfather. Meanwhile, paper dollars have lost over 95% of their purchasing power since the Federal Reserve was created. This isn't about getting rich quick. This is about not getting poor slowly. Less than 1% of Americans own any precious metals, despite mounting evidence that paper currencies are becoming unstable. It's not about money. A silver coin costs less than dinner at a restaurant. The real barrier is psychological. People resist changing familiar patterns, even when those patterns lead toward disaster. We're programmed to stick with what we know, even when what we know is broken. This mental paralysis is why most people will suffer in what's coming while others will thrive. The difference isn't intelligence or luck. It's the willingness to act on uncomfortable truths. Every major economic crisis creates extraordinary opportunities for those who understand what's happening and position themselves accordingly. The Great Depression made millionaires out of people who started with almost nothing but recognized that distressed assets were being sold for pennies on the dollar. When everything seems to be falling apart, smart money moves in to buy quality assets at fire sale prices. Real estate, businesses, commodities all become available at discounts impossible during normal times. The key is being prepared to act when others are frozen by fear. You don't need to be wealthy to start protecting yourself. You need to understand the difference between real assets and paper promises, and you need to start moving your wealth toward what's real. Start with something small but tangible. Buy a silver coin. Open a book about real estate investing. The goal isn't to become an expert overnight. It's to break the pattern of hoping someone else will take care of your financial future. What's happening represents a fundamental transfer of control from institutions back to individuals who take responsibility for their own financial education. The old system of trusting experts, following conventional wisdom, and hoping for the best is becoming extinct. The future belongs to people who can think independently, act decisively, and adapt quickly to changing conditions. These aren't special talents reserved for the wealthy. They're skills anyone can develop. We're at a moment where preparation is still optional rather than desperate, where you can still move thoughtfully instead of reactively, where small actions taken today can have enormous protective value tomorrow. You have advantages younger generations lack: experience with economic cycles, perspective from living through decades of change, and wisdom to distinguish between what's important and what's just noise. The people who will thrive aren't those with the most money or best connections. They're the ones who recognize that change is inevitable and choose to adapt proactively. Now, as promised, here's the one secret that separates winners from losers in what's coming. The smart money isn't just buying precious metals or real estate. They're positioning themselves to benefit from the greatest wealth transfer in human history by understanding that when currencies collapse, whoever controls the replacement system controls everything. Central bank digital currencies are coming. When they arrive, they won't just replace cash and AM. They'll give authorities complete control over every transaction you make. But there's a window right now where you can position yourself ahead of this transition. Those who understand this aren't just protecting their wealth. They're positioning to multiply it exponentially as the old system transfers power to the new one. The window is closing fast, and once it's gone forever. Most people will wake up one day to discover their financial world has changed overnight. But you don't have to be most people. You now know what they don't.